Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Claude White, and I am back. And this time I will do my top 10 Super Bowl list, this time on the offensive side of the football. And again, just like last time, I will start from 10 to the very top, the number one guy I feel in Super Bowl history. Now at number 10, I'm going to start off with New York Giant quarterback Eli Manning, and obviously he is there for the Tyree throw, the Mario Manningham throw, and let's face it, he has dethroned the great Tom Brady both times he faced him, the first time in the upset special in the Super Bowl, and the second time, of course, against the very same New England Patriots, but more for the first time, not allowing the New England Patriots to have the second perfect season in NFL history. We all realize that the very first one and the only perfect season is with those Miami Dolphins led by Don Shula, the no-name defense, Larry Zonka, Mercury Morris, and Jim Kick. So I have Eli Manning as the number 10 offensive Super Bowl performer. At number 9, I have to put the great Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen, sometimes to me, gets lost in history. He was one of the great running backs of all time. Of course, the rift between him and Al Davis sort of basically could have put a kibosh on his career with the then Los Angeles Raiders. He later was released and went to Kansas City, had a little bit of a renaissance there. But to me, Marcus Allen was definitely one of the top 10 backs of all time. I mean, you could have made a case he's definitely should have been in the top 5 if it weren't for Al Davis. And who can forget the reverse run, 74 yards in the Super Bowl, where they ran roughshod against the Washington Redskins. I mean, he was just magnificent. Marcus Allen, a one-of-a-kind running back. I mean, he and Walter Payton were do-it-all running backs, meaning that they could block, they could run, they could catch passes out of the backfield, and they could also throw the football. I mean, those were complete running backs, those two guys. And Marcus Allen is the number 9 guy in Super Bowl history as far as I'm concerned. Now, number 8, and some people are going to be like, well, why is he number 8? I mean, there's only 2 guys who are 4-0, perfect at quarterback in the Super Bowl era. And number 8 is Terry Bradshaw. I have to put him number 8 because, well, he did win 2 MVPs, even though, to be honest, you could have gave one of those 2 MVPs to John Stallworth. You could have actually gave the other one to Lynn Swann if you wanted. But Terry Bradshaw was the quarterback, no question about it. I mean, again, perfect 4-0. But Lynn Swann and John Stallworth had a lot to do with 2 of those 4 Super Bowls and also both of his MVPs. Of course, Franco Harris winning the first MVP, Lynn Swann the second. I mean, Terry Bradshaw, a huge part, and he deserves to be in the top 10, no question about it, but I couldn't put him higher than number 8. In fact, who I have at number 7, of course, Franco Harris. People forget how great Franco Harris was in big games, especially the Super Bowl. I mean, he was the Super Bowl MVP in the very first Super Bowl the Steelers won. In the swamp in New Orleans, people forget that was a swampy, messy game, but Franco Harris, a great running back. He's still the best running back in Pittsburgh Steelers history. I mean, Le'Veon Bell had a chance, but the Steelers really screwed this up. But I digress. Let's stick to the here and now. And Franco Harris, the number 7 guy of all time. At number 6, and I know it is littered with a lot of Steelers, but hey, they won 4 out of 6. They won 6 Super Bowls. That's the most in NFL history. I mean, when that happens, you're going to tend to get a lot of those guys. And let's face it, I mean, there are other teams that are represented here as well. But again, this is my top 10 Super Bowl list. Okay, so this is what you get. At number 6 is the great John Stallworth. Now, people are going to look at you like, John Stallworth? Why is he number 5? Well, number 6, excuse me. Well, it's simple, shorty, all right? John Stallworth still has the highest yards per catch of all time in Super Bowl history. He's averaged 40 yards a catch in the Super Bowl. Nobody's touching that, okay? John Stallworth was a big game performer. He was a deep threat among deep threats. John Stallworth was a great wide receiver. Don't get it twisted. Over 40 yards a catch, that's insane. You're not seeing that. He should have won the MVP in the final Super Bowl during that era for that particular team when Lynn Swann got knocked out with a concussion. And it was ironic because Swann started like a house of fire. But Terry Bradshaw won that MVP. Should have went to Mr. Stallworth, but he is the number 6 guy. At number 5, I have Jerry Rice, San Francisco 49ers. He also went with the Oakland Raiders. They lost that particular year, but Jerry Rice, of course, owns just about every wide receiver record. He was outstanding in the Super Bowls. He owns a lot of Super Bowl records as well. He was the MVP in the blowout against the San Diego Chargers. Jerry Rice, definitely the GOAT among wide receivers. He is number 5 on the list. Number 4, I have Terrell Davis. Yes, and not John Elway. Terrell Davis of the Denver Broncos. I'm going to be honest, he's the best running back I've ever seen in the Super Bowl era. He carried that. If it weren't for him, John Elway would have nada. He ran roughshod, especially the first season. He was insane. I understand the second year that they won the Super Bowl. He had a migraine, and he was used mainly as a decoy. That's how great he was, and that's why John Elway was able to win the MVP in the second go-round, where he was able to ride off into the sunset as a Super Bowl champion. But Terrell Davis was huge, especially against the Green Bay Packers and Gilbert Brown, Reggie White, those guys. That was an outstanding performance by the great Terrell Davis. In fact, his those 2 years, his playoff run was as good as any running back I've ever seen, bar none. And for people to think that he wasn't a Hall of Famer before this, that's an absolute joke. Terrell Davis is the number 4 guy all time on my Super Bowl list. At number 3, a lot of people have forgotten this man. As far as I'm concerned, he is one of the GOAT wide receivers of all time. Listen, you can bring up any guy you want. You can bring up Jerry Rice. You can bring up Terrell Owens. You can bring up the great Larry Fitzgerald. You can bring up whoever you want. Listen, here's why Lynn Swann is number 3. You look at those catches, and you're going to see a bunch of his catches tomorrow on Super Bowl Sunday. It's simple as that. Maybe Jerry Rice makes the catch. I don't think Randy Moss is making the catch because he's not going over the middle. Maybe Terrell Owens makes the catch. Terrell Owens dropped as many as he caught. But you know what? Lynn Swann made those catches. It's as simple as that. Lynn Swann made catches people dreamed of making. You can still see him flying through the air. He saved Terry Bradshaw's bacon 1,000,000 times. Let me tell you. Lynn Swann, the very first wide receiver to win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Again, you're going to see those catches 1,000,000 times tomorrow. And there's a reason why that Lynn Swann is number 3 on the list. At number 2, I have Tom Brady, of course. Tom Brady has won more Super Bowls at quarterback as anybody else. His record speaks for itself, no question about it. Am I sick of him? Absolutely. Now, if he wins number 6, I might have to put him at number 1. I'm really hoping I don't have to do that. But you have to look at him a little different, too, if he's 5-4 in these Super Bowls. But to go there 9 times is a great accomplishment. You can't take that from him. He is definitely the most legendary quarterback of all time. You have to give Tom Brady the number 2 spot. And who do I have number 1? Well, there's something to be said about perfection. And you know what? Perfection is what he was in those Super Bowls. And he took down Dan Marino. He took down Boomer Esiason. I mean, he took down John Elway. I mean, the guy is the all-time greatest. Let's face it. And he took down Ken Anderson. Kenny Anderson is the most underrated quarterback in NFL history. And if you remember that year, Kenny Anderson completed about 71% of his passes. I mean, nobody's doing that. It's simple as that. But you know what? Joe Montana is Joe Cool for a reason. Joe Montana is the most clutch quarterback, and he's more clutch than Tom Brady, let me tell you. Not a knock on Brady, it's just that Joe Cool, and people, before you say, well, he had Jerry Rice. He won 2 Super Bowls before Jerry Rice, and he won one of those Super Bowls without Jerry Rice taking on the Marx Brothers and the great Dan Marino's offense, and he lit them up like a Christmas tree, okay? If my 2-minute drill, it's Joe Montana. Simple as that. And Joe Montana is the number 1 guy of all time in the Super Bowl on the offensive side of the football. That is my list. I'd love to see what your lists are. Please like and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Claude White. Please take care and God bless.